we have discussed interest, and in this session I will discuss with you the monetary and fiscal policy coordination in the ISLM framework. Let us recall that the IS curve was looking like R is equal to A by F minus 1 minus B by F into Y. This was the equation of the IS curve, and the LM curve looked like minus 1 by H M by P plus K by H Y. So this is the equation of a positively sloped line, the LM curve, and this is the slope of a negatively sloped line. Now, and what is A? A is equal to C0 plus I0 plus G0. And what we are doing here, we are discussing about policy analysis using ISLM model. Okay, policy analysis using ISLM model. And M by P is the real money supply or real money balances. P is the price level, and uh, we said this LM curve is derived from money demand, which is equal to MT plus MNT is equal to money supply, which is M bar by P bar. Okay, and please remember that A is representing C naught plus I naught plus G naught. Now, if you recall, the consumption function was C0 plus BY. The investment function was I0 minus F into R, and G was equal to government spending was at G0. Now what we were saying, that if this is the IS curve, this intercept term is nothing but A by F, which is nothing but C0 plus I0 plus G0 by F. Now if let us do some policy exercises and see what happens to the IS curve. Now suppose consumer confidence in the economy goes up. What it will do, the consumer confidence is captured in the term C0. Recall that in the consumption function, C0 is representing all factors which has a bearing on consumption, which is other than income, because income we are explicitly modeling in the consumption function. All factors other than income is captured in C0. So C0 is capturing consumer sentiment, consumer confidence, maybe the wealth effect, the interest rate effect, a host of things. And similarly, in the investment function, I0 is capturing all factors other than interest rate which has an impact on investment. So I0 could be representing business confidence, business sentiment, investor outlook, and say animal spirits in the economy. It can also represent maybe income, because income also has an impact on investment. It could reflect wealth, also wealth effect on investment. So everything other than interest rate is captured in I0. Now we are saying if consumer sentiment goes down in the economy, the C0 term becomes what? Say a term, it falls down. So what will happen in the intercepts? The C0 is now a smaller number, so I will get a lower intercept. Okay, and this lower intercept is giving me a new IS curve, which is IS1. Likewise, if there is a surge in investor confidence, what it will do, if there is a surge in investor confidence, I will find that I0 term becomes a higher number, so I will get IS2. So IS2 is representing when I0 goes up or C0 goes up, or it could also be like when government spending G0 goes up And likewise, this IS1 is representing when C0 goes down or I0 goes down or G0 goes down, or a combination of C0, I0 or I0, G0, C0, G0 going down. Now we had also discussed about the IS curve with taxes, and the IS curve with taxes looked like what? It looked like R is equal to A by F minus 1 minus B plus BT by F into Y. So now if I am having, this is my IS curve without taxes, without tax, and the IS curve with taxes will become a, with tax is a steeper term, because I am adding this additional term bt, and if b and t are greater than 0, this is a positive number, so the slope is becoming higher, the absolute value of the slope. And because the absolute value of the slope increases, the curve becomes steeper. Now what is happening? There is a swiveling of this IS curve in the clockwise direction from say IS0 to say IS1. IS1 is capturing taxes and IS0 is without taxes. Now you would be able to see the implication of that. Suppose why we are interested in talking about incorporating taxes, or we and a situation where there are no taxes. Suppose I have got two IS curves, one is rather flat and another is rather steep. This is IS1 and this is IS2. Suppose the central bank wants to reduce interest rate in the economy from R1 to R2. Now this is R, this is Y. Now what happens if I am on IS curve 2? My change in income or GDP is from Y1 to Y2. But if I am on the flatter IS curve, my income level goes up from Y3 to Y4. Now Y3, Y4 is greater than Y1, Y2. So whenever I say or I am interested to analyze the effectiveness of a particular policy, suppose in this case we are interested to understand the effectiveness of monetary policy, of expansionary monetary policy. Suppose the central bank is trying to give a boost to the economy by lowering interest rates. Now under which circumstances this policy will be more effective? When the IS curve is relatively flat, because when the IS curve is flat, for the same drop in interest rate I am getting a much higher increase in GDP. Please remember that whenever we are talking about effectiveness of policy, we are looking at what is happening to the GDP. Now the slope of the IS curve was what? 1 minus B by F. So if B goes up or F goes up, what happens? The slope becomes less. In other words, the IS curve becomes flatter. So policy will be more effective when B is high and F is high. And what is B? B is the marginal propensity to consume, and F is the responsiveness of investment to interest rate. It is the responsiveness of investment to interest rate. Now naturally, if my marginal propensity to consume is higher, policy will be effective because people are spending more from the additional income that is generated. And if F is high, for the same drop in interest rate, investment will be now relatively more, so naturally policy will be more effective. And because my multiplier is 1 upon 1 minus B, I will get, if B is high, I will get 1 upon 1 minus B also very high. In other words, if B is high, the marginal propensity to is high, relatively high, then my multiplier will be relatively higher, and that will lead to more effectiveness of policy. Now what about tax rate? with tax rate, my slope was 1 minus b plus bt by f. So if the tax rate, if t goes up, implies the is curve becomes what? Becomes steeper. And as the is curve becomes steeper, the policy is less effective. Okay. So whenever government tries to increase interest rate, what it does, it shifts the is curve in this direction, in the clockwise direction, which reduces the effectiveness of monetary policy. Now, by the same token, if tax rates are lowered, that will lead to a anti-clockwise pivot of the is curve in this direction, which will make policy to be more effective. Now look at the LM curve. Now LM curve, we know that it looks like this. Now suppose if money supply increases, this negative intercept will become more negative, so that what happens, there is a outward shift or rightward shift of the LM curve. Now this LM curve will shift to the right when either my money supply goes up or if price level falls. In other words, either my nominal money stock increases or the price level falls, which leads to a increase in the real money balances. The LM curve will shift to the right. And by the same token, if money supply is reduced, this negative intercept becomes less negative, so that the LM curve is shifting to the left. Okay, if M falls or P rises, implies LM curve will shift to the left, and LM curve will shift to the right, we just discussed, if M increases or P falls, implies LM curve will shift to the right. Okay, in either case the slope does not change. Now let us see what happens when monetary and fiscal policy are used in conjunction. Suppose we know this is the is curve, this is interest rate, this is GDP. Suppose government wants to increase spending, what it will do, it will cause the is curve to shift to the right. Okay, is will become is1, and the LM curve, and given the LM curve, this is the LM curve. Now what happens, initially the equilibrium GDP was y star and the equilibrium interest rate was r star. So with the increase in, if G increases, what it leads to, if G increases, output increases from y star to y1, and the interest rate goes up from r star to r1. Why this is happening? See, if the LM curve was not there, that means if we did not consider the money market in our analysis, with the increase in government spending, the is curve would have shifted, and at the old interest rate my income level would have been y2. Okay, and this y star y2 is nothing but my del g times the multiplier, which is 1 upon 1 minus b. Now because the money market is there, what we are finding, as income starts increasing, the demand for money goes up, because if you know, uh, because if you recall, MD is equal to MT plus MNT, and MT is a function of income positively plus this is a function of interest rate negatively. So what is happening when income is going up, MT goes up and MNT remaining what it was, I will find my total money demand goes up and nothing has happened to money supply. We are assuming that suppose RBI is not increasing the money supply, LM curve is remaining where is it? LM curve is remaining where it was. I will find that when money demand increases with money supply remaining as it is, the interest rate will go up. So the interest rate is going up to R1, and as interest rate goes up, investment is inversely impacted because I is equal to I0 minus FR. As R goes up, investment falls, and the drop in investment leads to a drop in income. And the drop in income, now you can see, from Y2 to Y1. So I am not getting the full impact of increase in government spending. Why? Because the increased income is raising money demand, which causes the interest rates to go up if money supply is remaining constant, which causes lesser investment, and which we have already discussed. It is known as the crowding out. Crowding out is nothing but when government spending increases, it dampens private investment, and we found that crowding out to the extent of Y1 Y2 has happened because interest rates have gone up from R star to R1. So the net impact is what? Net impact is del R is greater than 0 and del Y is greater than 0, but not as much because there is crowding out. Okay, now let us consider that the central bank is not uh, acting as a bystander, but the central bank also wants to increase money supply. If the central bank is increasing money supply, what will happen? The LM curve will shift to LM1. And in this case, we are finding the change in, this was scenario 1, when money supply is remaining same. Now scenario 2, when money supply increases, what is happening? My change in income is now the full amount y star y2, and interest rates are not changing. Interest rates are kept at the same R star. In this case, what has happened? In this case, the central bank has increased money supply to ensure that there is no crowding out takes place. In other words, you get the full impact of the increased government spending on GDP, and this is a scenario which is described as central bank accommodating the fiscal expansion. So the central bank has moved in tandem with the fiscal expansion so as to give us a higher level of GDP increase, and there is no crowding out. This is the second case. And in the third case, what can be possible, that suppose the central bank feels that at Y star the economy is already at a overheated stage, or the central bank feels that a bubble is in the making. Now when the government is trying to increase spending and give a push to GDP, the central bank thinks that this is not going to lead to any durable increase in output. It is only going to lead to higher inflation in the near future. In that case, the central bank will adopt a policy which will ensure that this GDP is not allowed to increase. In other words, the central bank would try to negate the expansionary impact of the fiscal policy. And how it will negate? It will negate by by increasing interest rates. And how it will increase interest rates? It will ensure that the LM curve shifts to such an extent that it cuts the new IS curve at point B, where the interest rate is now at R2. That means central bank will lower money supply, because we know when money supply is lowered, LM curve shifts to the left. So the central bank will lower money supply to take interest rate to a higher level, to say R2, so that there is complete crowding out of this expansionary fiscal policy. In other words, when government is trying to increase spending, the central bank is increasing interest rate to such an extent that private investment is impacted adversely, to such an extent that the net impact on Y is zero. In other words, Y is back to Y star. And this is a case when the central bank is thinking that the economy is overheating. So I will explain that once more. So this is my IS curve, this is the LM curve. Now we started with this the government increasing spending. The IS curve, initially you were at A, the new equilibrium is at B. Now B corresponds to a higher interest rate, but also a higher GDP, Y1 and Y2. Now if the central bank is suspecting a bubble, or it is thinking that the economy is already overheating, when the government has increased spending, the central bank will reduce money supply so that the LM curve shifts to LM1, which causes the interest rates to, initially it was say R1, it was at R1, this is R2, the interest rate will be increased to R3, okay, so that output is back to point, this was point A, this was point B, suppose this is point T. So your new equilibrium will be at point T. And this is a case when G increases, M is reduced, so that change in Y is 0 and change in interest rate is by a very high order, from R1 to R3. Okay.